Despite what you have been thinking, you are not a product of your past. You are a product of this moment. I'm coming in here today on my 30th birthday to share something with you that is completely life-changing once you come into the acceptance of it. And that is that you are not, and I repeat, you are not a product of your past. You are a product of this present moment and the story that you keep telling yourself. The personality that you keep being attached to as a reflection of these stories, these beliefs that you held on to for a very, very long time. And I know how fucking hard it can be to break free from clinging on to these things that we held on to so tightly for so long, because it helped us to survive for a long time. The nature of our brain and the programs that we adapt, the attachment to different things, to a relationship, to an addiction, to a thought pattern of overthinking ourselves. It's not evil or something that is negative in nature. It's actually trying to help us, because at some point we believed that this is who I had to be to survive, to get by, to be accepted in this world, in this environment that I was in. You are somewhere new today. Imagine a blank slate where anything is possible. If only you dare to go into that space. Because anything that you dare to assume is possible and that you embody is going to become reality. That's how the nature of this universe that we live in actually works. Whatever we assume to be true about ourselves and about the situation that we're in slowly becomes our reality. But I know it is terribly hard to let go of those old things that we've held on to for so long, that made us into the person that we are, that made it so that we could survive in the family situation, in society, with our friends, or whatever it is, wherever these things came from. Your life, my friend, will never change until you put on a different pair of glasses to view your life through, because it is the glasses that determines what happens with your life next. What I'm talking about here today is something that can be incredibly hard. Because when we get triggered by our environment, by the situation that we're in, where we feel like, oh, I need to start procrastinating, oh, I need to go back into this same old pattern of my thoughts that were doubting, or whatever it was, all of these different things. To understand that most of this is actually happening because we have not found peace with our inner self yet. So in order to assume something better to come around, it's very important to first make peace with yourself as you are in this moment. Because if that is not first taken care of, then it becomes incredibly hard to flow with what is being active in this moment inside of yourself. Because the reason that we have all of these very challenging things that we're doing in our lives, like comparing ourselves to others, or feeling like we're behind in life, or whatever it is that's been challenging for you, an attachment of some kind, is because we have not yet made peace with our inner self. The things about ourselves that we buried and pushed to the side because we believe that this is not okay. In order to assume something better to come around, which literally becomes impossible when you run by these unconscious coping mechanisms, you first must come into a deeper acceptance over who it is that you are in this moment. And the only way to truly do that is to deepen your sense of awareness, to try and exit this unconscious space that you've been in for the longest time, and realize that beneath all of this, there was always a part of who I am that I didn't think that I could be. And so I suppressed this part of who it is that I am. And the way that I like to talk about this is to tell you that there's an emotion, there's an energy within your body that has been awoken in some experience in your life, quite deeply perhaps. And then in connection to that, perhaps you were crying, you were misunderstood, or whatever it was. Someone told you to shut up, or to listen to me, or this is the way it's done, whatever it is, where you did not get understood and heard. And so you decided in that moment to bury this part. Later on reflected in these challenging things that makes this present moment that we're in right now challenging, pure and simple. Connecting back to yourself is the first step of getting everything that you want in life. Because you need all of you first. You can't do this without all of you. Because being all of you is the source of the joy and the fulfillment that we're all searching for. It's just that we can get very lost into believing that it's going to come from some relationship, or from some success, or from some job opportunity, or if I have this thing, or if I have that thing, or if only I'm able to raise my vibration to this extent, or if only I'm enlightened. If I can get to enlightenment, then everything's gonna work itself out. No. Why I'm here today is to introduce you to the fact that those things are not connected to what you are seeking, to what it is that makes life wonderful. Those things can be cool, can be amazing, can be awesome, but only to the extent that you have already connected to that awesomeness within yourself first. Because everything starts from in here. And it can be very challenging to move back into this space after having spent your life being something as to be opposed to this space. Because over time we grow numb to it. We don't even understand that we have these sensations, these emotions, these energies of fear, anger, shame, and guilt, and so on, hidden beneath the conscious awareness within our being, and that we're being run by them through our attempts to distract from them by the subconscious mind that is always keeping us hooked on achieving, seeking meaning, trying to understand something, because we don't see or have that clarity already within us, because that clarity is always available to you as you are connected to your whole and true self, which becomes very effortless and amazing, and just kind of happens naturally as you get into the act of viewing who you are in this moment differently. And that first also comes back to connecting to the parts of yourself that you didn't understand to this day, perhaps, that you were reacting to, because you were so caught up that you didn't understand that, oh, there was this part of me that made me do these things, that created resistance to the universe, that made it so that the universe manifested challenges to me. Because the nature of the universe is that it is always giving you its most sincere blessing in this moment, no matter what that may look like to you in your life right now. And I know that from the mind perspective, that makes no fucking sense. How can the death of this person, or how can the, this very, very tough situation that I'm in right now actually be for me? But it is simply to once again give you the opportunity to find a greater deep sense of acceptance over who it is that you are, and to come into a flow with it. Because when you're in flow with yourself, you're in flow with the universe, because you're the same thing, and the universe is operating through the emotional and energetic state internally within yourself. All of our issues, all of the problematic things that we're doing within our personality that creates issues, like holding on to friends that are not good for us anymore, or anything of this nature, the addictions or whatever it is, insecurities, shyness, and so on, not seeing our self-worth, it all comes from this trying to escape this world. Except that most people are not aware of it, of course, because we get unconscious to the issue as we start living in this world. When you find peace with this, And what I mean by that is to simply acknowledge it as not inherently good or bad anymore. Because when we have a program and a belief in place, we continuously react to this as something terrible and that shouldn't be happening. And that is what creates the resistance to it and creates more issues as to awaken this state internally within us even more, so that eventually the universe gets its way, which is for you to surrender to who it is that you are. Once again, as to integrate yourself back to who it is that you really are, and to deepen your sense of consciousness in that process, to learn, to grow, to expand. And in this process, open yourself up to all of the things that you ever wanted in your life. Because at this point, as you stop being reactive to that old way, those old things that are accumulated within your being now from everything that you've been through in your life, and you instead realize that in this moment right now, I am not a product of the past. I am a product of this moment and my reaction to this moment. It only seemed like the past because the brain is in this present moment and holds story from the past. But you're in this moment now, and you can tell yourself a different story. You can assume that you are protected. You can assume that things are being taken care of. You can assume the best in your life. You can start assuming, and the more that you start assuming these very beautiful things about your reality, then reality will start to follow. It's just that you gotta start getting out of this pattern where perhaps you do it well for a couple of days to assume that life is amazing because you're feeling amazing, you know what I'm saying? But then when you start feeling really bad, you start doubting and starts being really hard on yourself, and you start cursing the situation that you're in, because that's where the shift has to take place. In this place where previously you were reactive, saying that I shouldn't be here, coming instead into an acceptance of, I'm not even gonna use my thoughts and stuff now, perhaps I'm just going to be in this moment, because the nature of my thoughts right now are of this nature that creates resistance, and that of a lacking nature, transmitting it to the universe. And so as long as I am feeling like this, I'm not even gonna try to actually speak well about my situation, because it's not going to be authentic anyways. Instead, I'm going to simply tune into my energy and allow myself to rest with the energy. Become aware of it, sit with it, allow it to become present within your being again, and just keep doing this. And eventually you're going to also realize that, as I'm moving through this, things starts to change. Because this was always being locked down within your being, not changed, coming back for another repetition on some stressful days. For you to finally come into the acceptance and acknowledgement of it. That's the purpose behind it, as to deepen your connection back to self. And then as you start being more of an open person to it, you realize that perhaps in some situations before, I would react by screaming at the person. I would react by trying to explain myself excessively because I'm not understood. But to instead in those moments just realize that, boom, the universe is blessing me with the most beautiful thing that could ever happen to me, disguised as a challenge. Because only the challenge can take you into what it is that you seek. Otherwise the challenge wouldn't be here. That's the nature of how all of this works. And so it is simply about putting yourself into that space of, this challenge is quite overwhelming right now. Time to go inwards. And then you're also in that process gonna connect back to the power that you have, where you can assume that the best is working out for you. And you can start talking well about your situation. Because you have surrendered to the energy and became whole with the universe once again. And the universe creates reality based on what it is that you're doing in this present moment. You gotta get into a flow, into a is a constant appreciative state for things to kind of snowball into something amazing. Because usually we cut our manifestations, for example, short, because as soon as those little more challenging things comes through for us in our experience, then we kind of say that, oh, no, now I can't do it anymore because I have to be this person again. Oh, no, I don't feel good. No, nothing of that anymore. Simply a tuning in and being with who it is that you are, as it will all make sense to you, why you're going through this, why it's all happening. As the clarity lands back into your heart and into your being, as you allow the energy to make itself known to you, because it wants to bring you clarity also. If you've been feeling confused lately, then that's a good sign and something to be accepting of also, because in this process of letting go of who it was that we used to be, you also have to immediately after that sit a little while in these energies of not understanding of who I am anymore. And that's a great sign that you're exactly where you're supposed to be in this moment, my friend. And if you want to learn more about these things, make sure to check out my coaching calls, the courses that I have, and the live streams that I'm doing. I'm gonna leave everything down here below, and I look forward to seeing you there. And I'll catch you in my next video. Bye bye.